In this video, I just want to share a quick update on the free strategy database which I'm building for you guys. If you haven't already seen the previous video in which I explained what I'm doing with this strategy database, then what I'm doing is I'm taking an already published trading strategy. I'm then going to program it using multi-charts, and then I'm going to test it out and record the results for you guys. So each week I'll be taking a new strategy and then testing it across 14 different Forex pairs. And for each of those pairs, I'll be testing it on 3 different time frames as well. So that adds up to 42 separate tests. But then for each of those time frames, I'm going to actually test the portfolio of the 14 pairs. So I'm going to have one portfolio for each separate time frame. So that's 3 more tests. So 45 tests in total. You'll be able to watch the video for each test, for each strategy. And then I'll be recording the results in a database which I'm making available to everybody for free. So today I just want to show you the first rough version of this database. It's actually a spreadsheet, and I've already entered some results for the last strategy, or the first strategy, which I've tested so far using the Arun indicator. You might have already seen that video. The database isn't published yet, but I just want to show you it and show you what I've done so far, and then I'm hoping to get some feedback from some of you guys so that I can make this database as useful as possible. So let me show you what I've done so far. So this is the first version of what this database or this spreadsheet is going to look like. Let me just remind you of the testing that I'm doing. Here you see we've got the market, and I've got 14 Forex pairs, and then we've got an all pairs, which is the portfolio of all of those put together. So we've got the individuals and then the portfolio. So in total, that's 15. And then all of this testing data is all done on the daily time frame. You see down here, I've got the daily tab. I've got the same for the 4-hour or the 240 minute, and then the hour or 60 minute. If you think there's a better way of laying this out, then please let me know. And then the data we've got here is just all of the same strategy. So we've got the 15 rows just for the same strategy, and then we're going to have another 15 rows for the next strategy, and so on. Just looking through the columns, market, you obviously know what that is. The test date, that's when I actually done the testing. And then date from and date to is the data which I've used to test. So in this case, January 2008 to the end of December 2022. Years tested is self-explanatory. Strategy type, now I'm going to have a few different types. This one's got a breakout, but we are going to have some trend, mean reversion, bias possibly. So that's the strategy type. Net profit is total net profit. Now if you haven't already watched the previous video, all of this testing is in pips. So the net profit is in pips, not currency. Max drawdown, that's the maximum strategy drawdown during the test. The return on the max DD or max drawdown, that's the net profit divided by the max drawdown. Then we've got profit factor, total trades, that's total number of trades. You see how most of these are around 3,500 trades, and then the all pairs, which is the portfolio, that's why we've got 50,000. Average trades a year, that's just the total trades divided by the amount of years tested. Win rate, that's obvious. Percentage profitable. Average trade, now that's the average trade value, which is a really important one, because looking at the net profit, just because most of these are profitable, we've got 2 losers, most of these are going to be profitable, but, and this will become clear when we watch the actual strategy videos, with some of these net profits, I've got this color coding going on. So anything orange is profitable, but the average trade value is less than 10 pips per trade. Anything that's negative is obviously pink or that light shade of red. So just because this happened to be profitable here, it's got a tiny average trade, so it's, you want to be wary of that. Just because it's profitable here doesn't mean it's going to be profitable. Ideally, we want to see green and green. If we go to some of these, for example, look at this first one on Australian dollar. Yes, it's profitable here, and also the average trade is a large average trade as well. That means that we're going to be able to overcome trading costs. If we've got average win to loss ratio, that's the average winner compared to the average loser. Now the average bars in trade, that's simply how many bars in trade. We're on the daily time frame here, so an average of 17.4 days. If we're on the 60-minute time frame, then 17.3 bars is 17.3 hours. And then in the last column, we just got the video link to the video where I tested the strategy on YouTube. And they're all going to be the same, obviously, for each strategy. So what I'm hoping, the way that you can actually use this database, once I've got a decent number of strategies here, then I'm hoping essentially you'd probably want to be able to sort it by the average trade and look for the strategies which have the highest average trade values, or certainly average trade values above 7, 8, 10 ideally, then only really look at those strategies and you can click through and see the videos. That's, I think, going to be the best way you're going to use this database. Are there any other numbers that you'd like to see in here? I'm a little bit limited by what Multicharts puts out in its report, and I think I've got the most important numbers here. Another thing I did want to touch on was this is the 60-minute, and you can see most of these are profitable net profit wise. If we go to, say, the daily, then there's not as many profitable. Now, what I want to know is, would it detract from the results if I didn't actually bother entering the negative ones? As far as I'm concerned, if it's a negative net profit after 15 years, then it's not a strategy that you want to be looking at anyway. And what that does, it just cuts down on the amount of data I have to input. I didn't quite realise how much data I was having to manually input for each of these strategies. Remember, we've got 15 rows here by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 columns. Some of these I've got formulas in so they can calculate automatically from the other columns, but most of these I'm putting in manually. So I've got 15 by 10, that's 150 data entries, and then I've got 3 different tabs, so there's 450 data entries per strategy. And I realise it does actually take a while. So my question is, would it detract from the functionality of the spreadsheet if I didn't even bother putting in the negative pairs, and you just took for granted that if the pairs weren't there, then out of these 14 pairs, the ones that aren't there weren't profitable? You tell me. So I think that's about all I want to show you. I don't think there's anything else I want to talk about at the moment for the spreadsheet. Like I say, please let me know in the comments if there's anything else you want to see here or any way that I can improve it. That would be much appreciated. So that's how it's looking so far. Hopefully, it's going to be far more functional than it is pretty. If you have any suggestions of how I can make the database or that spreadsheet look better or increase the functionality, then please let me know in the comments. I want this database to be like a collective effort so that we can make it as useful as possible. At the moment, I think access for you guys for the database is just going to be the direct link to that Google Sheet. I have considered, and I have been working on, embedding that Google Sheet onto my website, but from what I can make out so far, it does reduce the functionality. It looks like it's more view only. You can't start sorting the sheet there on the website. Perhaps I'll even do both. Well, that's all I've got for the spreadsheet so far. Like I said, I will really appreciate your comments. Please leave them in the comments section down below. Tell me how I can make it look better. Tell me how I can make it more functional. Tell me how I can lay it out better. I'm sure some of you guys are spreadsheet experts. If you can help me do that, I'll just get on with the strategy testing and getting the numbers inputted into that database. So I'll see you in the next video.